I read straight from all the dollar bins. It is Doctor Strange 31 from 1991, guest starring Silver Surfman. This is part of Affinity Gauntlets, the crossover, the first of 5 or 6 Doctor Strange tie-ins to Affinity Gauntlets. He had the second most amount of tie-ins to the story, behind only his guest star in this issue. And they are completely perfunctory crossover tie-in fare. We begin with Silver Surfman unconscious in Doctor Strange's study. This is picking up from the end of Silver Surfman 50. Silver Surfman came to Earth to warn of the coming of the now all-powerful Thanius, and he crashed into Doctor Strange's house. We saw the scene play out from the perspective of Doctor Strange in Affinity Gauntlets issue 1. Thanius is coming. I will say, this actually neatly squeezes in between issues 1 and 2 of Affinity Gauntlets. Like, really tidily. Some of the cleanest fit possible. Maybe I shouldn't have made the editor of this issue cry. We also have Rintra, my favourite character, Rintra, and he is impersonating James Dean, but I think it is a better impression of Dickie Jones. It's kind of like how my first Linkara impression was just Neil Amberger. Well, Rintra's first James Dean was just Hulk's pal. We have a little bit of housekeeping here to explain that this is definitely occurring after Affinity Gauntlets issue 1. Some more of the book's supporting cast disappeared with the death of half of all life in the universe. We see in the main Affinity Gauntlets miniseries in issue 1 that Wang, Doctor Strange's humble man slave, he disappeared. You all know this, but I'll explain it anyway. To try and impress Lady Death, Thanius offered her half the universe. He used his new omnipotent god powers to kill half of every living thing in existence. An act he performed with the snap of his fingers, and an act that was completely ruined forever by those shoddy corporate assembly line Marvel movies. I have definitely explained Rintra before, so I won't again, but maybe one day I will. Rintra is great, and our plot here is that Doctor Strange will use his magic to enter Silver Surfman's mind to try and wake him up. It is a very, very unremarkable story. We have a slight misunderstanding fight when Silver Surfman is like, "Get out of my headspace, Mr. Strange." But the main thing we have is a retelling of Silver Surfman's origin. Doctor Strange he views Silver Surfman's origin. This is stuff straight from Silver Surfman issue 1 from 1968. This is another thing you all know. Galactus Man, he came to Silver Surfman's planet to eat it. And then Silver Surfman, before he became Silver Surfman, he offered, in exchange for Galactus Man sparing Silver Surfland, Silver Surfman offered to become Galactus Man's servant. Galactus Man's very own Wang. Silver Surfman became Galactus Man's Wang. It is a great origin story. Silver Surfman has a tremendous origin story. And what we have here is many artistic remakes of key imagery straight from issue 1. Inferior remakes, I would say, but to be fair, anything would be inferior. After recapping his origin, we get into some uncharted territory with an It's a Wonderful Life style riff, where we ask what would happen to Silver Surfland if Silver Surfman never existed. Something I want to praise is I do really see a worth in the premise of this issue. I see some proper value in the idea of retelling or re-examining Silver Surfman's origin, but through the lens of a Doctor Strange book. There are a lot of things to do there. We all know Silver Surfman's origin, but I think raising parallels to Doctor Strange, and there are some if you dig deep enough, or contextualising elements through the mythology of Doctor Strange, that's all good. This issue doesn't do either of those things. It's not a horrible issue or anything, but I do look at it with disappointment because this would have been a great place to explore the nature of Galactus Man in the cosmic scheme of things. How Galactus Man is a part of the same vista as Lady Death or Eternity, and most of the abstracts were introduced in Doctor Strange, the Tribunal as well, but Eternity especially. Galactus Man had been equated to Eternity in Steve Englehorn's Silver Surfman, and going forward, obviously, even just forward into the crossover we're tying into, that would be a worthwhile thing to plainly quantify here. Instead, we get Marky Mark G's explanation about a year later, and I hate that. A worse Marky Mark G idea than Cap Wolf. At least it's not AI rubbish. While the story does half waste the notion of detailing Silver Surfman's origin in someone else's book, the bigger criticism of this issue would be not that it is inconsequential or disposable or that it is filling for time. All those are valid, but I think the biggest sin on display is poor timing. Coming straight back to you, Michael Rockford. Mr. Big Shot Crybaby editor who won't take accountability for any perceived mistake, mismanagement, or anything. This issue picks up from Silver Surfman issue 50. I said that at the beginning. You want to know what a portion of that comic was? A retelling of Silver Surfman's origin. Exact same remakes of images from the original. Still inferior to the originals, but it was Ron Lee in Silver Surfman, so they weren't bad. We are now at the start of Ron Marsgirl's run on Silver Surfman, and he will never fucking let Silver Surfman's origin go. Every other issue of Ron Marsgirl's run as Silver Surfman, reliving his origin or having a dream about some part of his origin. And personally, I find the backup feature to be of more interest. This is setting up and explaining a bunch of lore and continuity about the Fear Lords, not to be confused with the Hell Lords or the Death Lords. The Fear Lords are a grouping of demons, deities, and life forms that either sustain themselves on fear or who relish in creating it. And we cover quickly short origin info for some of the assembled Fear Lords. We have got the Lurking Unknown first. He comes from Thor, Silly Age Thor. Thor 136. That issue has come up twice lately. And something else that has been happening a lot lately is Robert, the subscriber, he keeps coming in his pants. If he didn't already when he saw the cover to Fantastic Force 257 earlier, well, he's going to now because we have the Fear Eater. The Fear Eater is this little alien fella that feeds on the fear felt by individuals. It comes from a really dopey Marvel Comics Presents serial by the almighty Al Milburn. And next is, well, there is Steve Rogers as the captain up top. And our last one is Strawman. He is the main one here because he isn't a villain. He looks like one, but he's generally benevolent. And so he's against the Fear Lords and their plan for Earth. He leaves them and warns them to not interfere with Earth. This is setting up the Great Fear, a story arc that follows the Affinity Gauntlet's tie-in issues in this series. It's meant to be a big epic, but the pacing is all wrong. Once upon a time, I did wish to cover all three parts of that. Long have I wanted to talk about D-Spear and the D-Spear retcon from Avengers vs. Invaders, that he is actually the Goldie Age Vision corrupted by the cosmic cube that he was tasked with guarding. It is a retcon that never got mentioned ever again, but I think that it validates and makes D-Spear fucking interesting instead of him being a rinse and repeat inventory story fill-in issue villain. I began by saying that this was dollar bin fodder, and that is the best description of it and its quality. Nothing here really raises it above that. We have a rerun of Silver Surfman's origin. That is fine in and of itself, but it winds up being needless and wasted. We have vague references to a crossover. We have a backup feature that is unexcitingly setting up something that needs to be exciting. You can do a lot worse than this, but that's not an excuse to praise this. I'll give it a 7 thumbs up.